Hi everybody, I'm Stephen Horvath. I am the team lead of apps at LUKSO. And before I start, I'd just like to see who you all are. So how many people have known about LUKSO for more than 1 week? Okay, great. And how many people have heard about LUKSO just in the last week? Okay, great. How many developers are here? Okay. How many product people are here? Film and video related people. And what other roles? Just shout out, what are you working on? What is your role?
I teach in English and Spanish communities about Web3 for women.
Oh, cool. Welcome. It's important.
Operations.
4337 developer.
Okay. All right.
Dark side.
Anyone else? Okay, good. Great. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about universal profiles and what we're doing. And I'll be showing off the product that I've been working on, which is the Universal Profile Browser extension. So LUKSO is an Ethereum Layer 1 compatible blockchain started by Fabian Vogelsteller and Marjorie Hernandez. And you are probably familiar with some of Fabian's work. He was the author of the ERC20 standard. You've probably used it. Probably everybody in the room has. And Marjorie is an entrepreneur, and she's working on the intersection of blockchain technology and design. She's also the founder of the Dematerialized. And they came together and created something new, which is a blockchain that targets the creative economy. The creative economy is all about artists, musicians, writers, influencers, basically everyone who's creating something and all of the people who are using these creations, which is basically everybody. In the blockchain world, it's so far been very heavily finance focused. And it's had a very strong technical lean, and it's also been very anonymous. And that makes sense. For the finance world, you don't want to show everybody what's in your wallet. So anonymity makes a lot of sense. But that's not the only thing that blockchain technology can do. If we look out in the world, we see that people are very social. People are using social media. They are sharing pictures of their family. They're expressing their ideas. They have identities, and they express these identities in many different ways. And I often hear people talk about how do we bring blockchain to the next billion people, or to the first billion people, in our case, actually. And in order to do that, we need to make blockchain usable. That's something for sure. How do we make it usable? Well, one way is we can start to look at what people are already doing. What are they able to do and what they're not able to do? So these are my parents. They know how to get around some technology, but they're not super technology, they're not developers. And I always keep my parents in mind whenever I'm building a new product or thinking about a new feature. I always have in the back of my mind, is this something that my parents are going to be able to do? That's the bar that I'm setting, because I really love the technology that we're building. And just like you all, it's an incredibly powerful, we all see the use cases, we all know it, but unless people like my parents are able to use it, it's going to be very limited in the impact. So let's take a look at something first that my parents might not be able to do with the current technology. And we'll use the use case of the first experience with the crypto wallet. Okay, so what's involved with the first experience? Okay, well, they're going to need to first attempt to connect to a DApp. Then they're going to be presented with a whole myriad of browser wallets, and they have to somehow pick one. Now they have to figure out how to add this wallet to their browser. They have to choose a password. They have to learn what a seed phrase is. They have to create a seed phrase. They have to confirm the seed phrase. Now they have to figure out how to store that seed phrase so nobody can figure out what it is except for themselves. Now they have to figure out what gas is. Then they have to figure out where they can buy gas. Now they have to register for a centralized exchange. Now they have to scan their IDs and their face and send it to some unknown geography. Then they have to buy some ETH. Then they have to figure out what their account number is. They have to link that account number. Finally, they can transfer some ETH to their wallet. Okay, so obviously the point is it's very, very difficult. And even my friends who are my age, my generation or younger, they're very technical people that can get around technology quite well. Most of my friends are already stuck at step 2 or 3. So what can regular people do? They can post on social media. They can install an app on their phone. They can sign up for a Web 2 account. Like my parents, they know how to fill in the forms. Generating a password makes sense to them and a username. They can buy a data plan. So they can go into a cell phone store and maybe they don't know exactly what a gigabyte is, but they know that if they're just checking emails through the day, they need a small plan. But if they're watching videos all day, then they need a bigger plan. So at the heart of what we do at LUKSO are our standards. Everything that we're building, all of the building blocks that are being built on top of our standards. And I'm going to talk about some of the most important standards that we're building. We have over 20 standards at the moment. I'll talk about some of the most important ones and the use cases, the real world use cases behind them, some of the power that they can bring to blockchain that's not currently there. And I'm going to be focusing a lot on our very first standard, which we call LSP0, which is universal profiles. And through the whole show, I'll be talking about the product that I've been working on, which is the Universal Profile Browser extension. Okay, so here it is. This is the Universal Profile Browser extension. And you can see something right away that's different from other wallets. And that's that there are no tokens in it. But instead, there's a profile. And that's because the Universal Profile Browser extension is not token-centric. It's profile-centric. So the difference between a universal profile account and a regular Ethereum account is a universal profile account is not only a long hexadecimal string. A universal profile account has the ability to attach a name, a profile image, an avatar, a description, a company, all sorts of things. In other words, a universal profile account is an Ethereum account that comes alive. So here you can see this woman, she's got 3 different accounts. In the middle, she's got her personal account. You can see it's a little hard to read there, but she's got her name there, Savannah. She's got some tags. She's into fashion and music, and she's a traveler. On the left here, this is her business account. So she's working at a DAO. She's doing architecture and design. And then on the right, she's got her investment account or her trading account. And here she's chosen to stay anonymous. She uses an alias. She's got an avatar, but she still shows off a little bit of her trading identity. She shows off her NFTs and that she's a collector. And the nice thing about this is somebody can have multiple accounts, each with their own level of how much they're revealing about their identity. And none of these accounts are traceable to each other unless the person reveals that they're connected. And the way that we do this is by the ability to attach metadata to the account. So you can see here there are keys and values. And with the universal profile account, you have the ability to attach unlimited amounts of metadata. OK, so I'm going to do a demo. I'll have a few demos throughout the talk. And the first demo is going to be about how do you create your first universal profile. Okay, so the way to do it is you go to universalprofile.cloud, and this is a really nice site here. You can see some existing profiles that are already created. And you click Create a Profile. And I'm running on testnet here, but we actually are mainnet ready. We did a big release last week. So all of our tools are support mainnet as well. Okay, so I click Create a Profile. I'm going to go to the Chrome store, add the extension. Okay, and follow the suggestion to pin the extension. Now you can see that up here. I'm going to create my password. Okay, I'll switch this to testnet. Okay, so now I'll create my new profile by clicking this button. Agree to the terms. This is just a testnet warning. Okay, so I'm actually, this is new technology. I'm not actually sure what it does, so I'm going to choose to stay anonymous for the first round. Okay, so here it's going to let me choose my address and my identicon. So I can actually go through, let's see, I think this is a nice color. And then got it, create my profile. Oops. I think I need to refresh. Okay, so now it's creating my profile. Hello, welcome. Nice to see you. Okay, great. So my profile is created. And you can see that it's now in my wallet, in my extension. And I'm going to, okay, now I'm going to play around with this a little bit. Okay, I'm a little bit more comfortable. So maybe I'll reveal my name now. So I'm going to edit my profile. And I'll use the example that I showed with Savannah. So I'm going to change her name. And what this is doing is it's sending my metadata to IPFS. And then it's actually making a link to the IPFS link on my profile itself. Okay, so now I'm actually going to sign this. I'm signing it, and it will add the name to the blockchain. Okay, and here we go. So yeah, it's confirmed. So did anyone notice anything interesting there? There was something that is very unlike other browser extensions and other wallets. There was something that I didn't have to do. Any hints? Say again? The seed phrase? Yep, there's no seed phrase involved. Did someone else have some? Say it. I didn't pay for gas fees. So you notice there was no gas involved. So I'm going to get to that in 1 second, and I'll show how that happened. Okay. So yeah, as you saw, there were no gas fees. There was no setup for it. I didn't have to find some ETH and put it in the wallet. It just worked. How did that happen? Well, so one of the standards that we were creating is what we call the transaction relayer. And this is the ability to abstract away all of the complexity of gas management to an external service. So the way that I like to think about this is it's kind of like when you get a cell phone, like a data plan from at a cell phone provider. You go into a shop and you figure out just about how much you need based on how much data that you might spend in a given month, and you get a quota. And you can use your phone through the month. If you end up using more than your quota, then you have to either wait for the quota to reset the next month, or you need to top it up. And a transaction relayer it's the same thing. You can get a quota, and what it's doing, the transactions are still signed locally, but then the signed transactions are sent to the transaction relayer, and it handles all of the complexity of paying for the gas. So it makes it very easy. So here you can see this is our service. We have an initial kind of out-of-the-box relayer service that we've built. And right now we're actually subsidizing the gas. So in a real scenario, you might pay a monthly fee with a credit card, with fiat, or with crypto. In this case, we're providing all of the gas for free initially. So if you want to use the chain, it's a really good time to come. There's a really nice incentive. You can basically use it for free. And you can see here the monthly quota. Again, it's a little hard to see because of the resolution. But you can see how much quota that you have left. And this is also supported in the browser extension. So when you load the extension, before you're about to do a transaction, you may have seen it when I did it in the demo, you can actually see the quota that you have left very easily. And users are able to choose whatever relayer they want. So there are a lot of different types of business models that are available. They don't just have to use the one that I said. And so we have an RPC call available in the extension that DApp developers can use to add their own relayer. There have been a few different ideas of different business models. I also wanted to say, now's a great time to start building on our chain. It's very early, and a relayer is something where, right now we have the only model out there, but there are many models out there. So if you're looking for a project to work on, we actually really invite competition. We don't want to be the best. We just want something that users can start with. But there are a lot of different possible models out there for a relayer. OK, so I'll come back to that demo in just a second. I will do a different demo right now. And in this demo, I'm actually going to set up my profile a little bit. So I'm going to add a profile picture. The resolution's messing with my window a little bit. And I'll add a couple of tags. And I'll add a website. So now I'll save, and this will send it to IPFS once again. And now you can see there's the quota that I have left. And I'm going to confirm the transaction. Great. So now the transaction is confirmed on chain. OK, so the next standard is about, DApps can request control of the profile. So the way that I like to explain this standard, so this standard is what we call our key manager. And this is the ability to add fine-grained control, for DApps to add fine-grained control to be able to control the profile. And the way that I like to explain this is it's kind of like when you install an app on your phone, and the app wants to, for example, have access to your photos, or it wants to access your contacts, or it wants to, what else? See your location, right? The app actually has to ask for permission to you before it's allowed to access those things. And then you as the user get to decide, do you trust this app with your photos or your location, or do you not? Or maybe you trust it for the day, but maybe not, maybe there's an expiration date, something like that. Or you only trust it when you're using the app, but you don't trust it in the background. Like you get to pick all of these fine-grained permissions for an app on your phone. And so the key manager is the same way, but it's for DApps to do it actually on-chain. So you can see here, this is the browser extension, and you can see there are a number of different DApps. There's a music app, there's a DAO, there's a recovery service, and all of these have requested permissions to control the profile. All right, so what do I mean by controlling the profile? There are a number of different permissions that a DApp can request. So it can request to sign on behalf of the user. It can request to encrypt or decrypt messages on behalf of the user. So you can think of like an email app that might want to be sending messages back and forth. It can send tokens on behalf of the user. It can change these permissions. So there are a number of different permissions that are available for DApps to request for different use cases. And so some use cases here are, you can think of a music or a game DApp. So maybe a music app will have a playlist, so some user data. And the app can actually store the user data directly on the user's profile. Multiple devices. So in the Ethereum world, if we want to have our account on different devices, we're usually copying and pasting our seed phrase and moving that on different devices. Well, the problem with that is if one of the devices gets compromised somehow, we lose it, or somebody somehow gets access to our seed phrase, we're out of luck. I mean, our account is basically gone, and there's not much that we can do about it. But with the key manager, what we're able to do is we can actually give a different controller to different devices. And therefore, if one of the devices, if we lose our phone, we can actually revoke control for that one device while not affecting the other devices that can access it. Account recovery. So this is something that we just added a service for. Again, it's just an initial service that to provide something for users out of the box. There's a lot of room for additional innovation here for other developers, but we have a very simple recovery service that, in our case, we're using a centralized service to basically store the user, be able to restore the user's access to their account if they somehow lose it. And this is a really big deal in the blockchain world, maybe on par with being scammed, or even more important, people are, everyday users, they don't know what to do with the seed phrase. And so it's very common, there are a lot of cases out there where people have lost their seed phrase and they somehow get locked out of their computer and they've lost all of their tokens that they have on there. So we have this concept of vaults for limiting token access. Hello. So you can think of this use case as like if you've got a family and you've got kids and maybe you want to give your child access to a game, give them some tokens for a game or for an educational platform. A vault will let you take a certain amount of your tokens and store it into its own sandbox and give your child permission only to that sandbox so that they don't have access to all of your tokens. They can just access the amount that you put in the vault for them. DAO management. So at a DAO, there are different roles, and maybe you've got a community manager that has access to change the keys that feed into the website. or you've got a treasury manager that is able to send and receive tokens on behalf of the DAO, but they only have access to do that. They can't actually change things on the website. And then you've got an admin that is able to grant new roles permissions or revoke them. Okay, so now I'm going to do a demo about how to request permissions. And I'm going to use, we have a kind of an ugly test DApp at the moment. But imagine this scenario where we can use the music DApp, for example, where you've got a music DApp that wants to add a playlist, add some data, application data to your account. So I'm going to connect my account here. And like I said, it's not pretty, but we've got this set data permission. And this is what a DApp would request if they want to be able to add application data to my account. So click the button. And here it's going to prompt the user. We have a little bit more UX work to do on the screen to make it very easily readable, but we've got a good start right now. It says right here, can update and change profile information such as your name, photo, and description. So I'm going to confirm it. So basically, this is the process of the app. On your phone, the app is asking for permission to do something. Okay, so now my profile has been updated. And now you can see in this list here that, again, we've got a little bit more UX work here to do, but you can see that there's a new DApp here that is able to control my account. And I'm able to revoke permission at any time as well. So at LUKSO, digital assets also get an upgrade. So Fabian created the ERC20 standard, and then he had no idea how that was going to end up being used in the real world. And in the years that followed, he and many other people started to see the limitations of ERC20. And so through the years, he together with smart contract engineers on our team and many people in the community have come together and created new standards that improve ERC20. And other digital asset standards. So we do this with what we call our LSP7 and our LSP8 standards. So one of the things that we can do, so one of the big problems in blockchain is that you want to send a token to somebody else, right? And you have their address, and maybe you're sending a significant amount. How is your emotional state normally during this process? Okay, I'm usually sweating, and I'm double checking, triple checking, quadruple checking my address, making sure that it's the right address. I'm double checking my chain to make sure, am I really on Polygon when I think I'm on Polygon, et cetera. And this is a big problem. There have been many people who have, they think they're on one chain, they have an address, they send it, and the transaction goes through, and they realize like, oh, I was on Avalanche. I wasn't actually on Polygon, and now their funds are gone. It's a really big problem. So what we do is we actually have what we call a universal receiver. And an account in LUKSO can be marked as a universal receiver. And if you attempt to send a token to an account that's not marked as a universal receiver, the browser extension is actually going to tell you, hey, there's a problem here. This isn't an actual account. You're able to force that if you're a power user. You can override it. But the default is to be able to warn you so that you have this extra step before you actually submit it. Tokens can also have unlimited metadata, and NFT is also attached to it on-chain. And this is something that if you've ever developed a DApp that uses digital assets, you know that the metadata is a mess. There's no central point of information. There's no single source of truth. So you have a lot of different third-party databases out there, and sometimes the data can get unsynced. OpenSea will say one thing, and then another platform will say something else. And it's hard to know what to prioritize or what to show in the UI. Well, here we put everything on chain. And so if you are, for example, an NFT creator, you can, and you want to change, for example, some community information that's attached to the NFT, you can change that, and it's updated everywhere. And we also have this technology called a universal delegate. And this is basically like a token hook. So basically the way that this works is if you send a token to somebody else, both their account and your account, so the sender and the receiver of the token, their account will emit an event whenever that token is sent or received. And first of all, this adds a lot better UX. So you can do something like add push notifications on your phone if you receive a token. But you can also do programmatic things, which are very powerful. And we have some more, there will be more about this in some of the presentations later today. But for example, if I can do something like, if I receive a token from a certain address, or a certain amount of tokens from a certain address, I can programmatically forward maybe 10% of the tokens that I received to another address, like as an automatic tax payment, or paying a contractor for some work that they're doing. Or I can do something like spam prevention. So if I receive a token from an unknown address, I can actually reject receiving that address, so I'm not receiving spam tokens or spam NFTs in my wallet. Okay, so now I'll show how to transfer a token. And I'm going to use my other wallet, my personal one. Okay, and here you can see that I have 3 test LUKs in my account. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy Savannah's address. And I'm going to click the wallet icon. Okay, so now we have a DApp for a wallet. You can see that I have 3, there are my 3 LUKs, test LUKs. And need to connect to my account. Okay, now it shows the send button since I'm connected. And I can transfer one of those. I'm going to paste Savannah's address in here. Okay, so now you can see her image pop up. By the way, we use identicons because identicons are a visual, like some people ask, how can you tell the difference between different accounts? Well, you can use both the first 4 digits of the account number plus the identicon, and that gives you a very, very, almost very high probability that you're sending to the right person if you're checking these 2 things. Okay, so I'm going to send it. Then I'm going to sign. Now I'll go over to Savannah's account, and you'll see it'll pop up a notification once it's sent. There we go. There's the notification. Now you can see that I have 1 test LUKS in Savannah's account. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about a couple of projects that are building on LUKSO. The first one I'll show you is called Universal Page, and these guys are creating an all-in-one NFT marketplace that are geared toward creators. And they have 3 different tools that they have on their platform for creators. The first is what they call a universal page. And that's basically your personal profile, your personal website, where you can show off your NFTs and you can sell them directly from your website. The second is they have an NFT marketplace, and this is like, LUKSO's OpenSea. So it's basically a place where anybody can go and buy and sell NFTs. And the third place is the ability to, without any code, create and manage a drop of an NFT collection. So it allows people to build their own minting page, for example, with their UI. Another one is called Upturn, and these guys are creating it's kind of like, it's a rewards card. So if you go to a coffee shop, for example, and you get a little card and you buy 10 coffees, when you buy the 10th one, you get a coffee for free. This is the on-chain version. So it's like if you go to an event or a couple of events, or maybe you download a few music tracks, then you'll get rewarded with some tokens, for example. That's what they're working. And if you stick around to the end of the day, we actually have a couple of guys from Drops here in Liquid, and they're going to be presenting their project also, which is a really, really cool project. Okay, so I invite you to try the browser extension where we have mainnet ability right now. Like I was saying before, we're at the point in our ecosystem right now where it's a really good time to build something. We probably all have had this experience where we go onto some chain and we see some DEX that's like super simple, and we're like, I could have built that, and it's like the most popular DEX on the exchange. And the reason why they are so popular is because they were there first. Like, that's where we're at right now. We're at that point where there's a lot of room for apps to come and build and to take your idea, but to do it with to build it on the LSP standards, which allow you all sorts of, the ability to do all sorts of things that aren't possible on other Ethereum chains. Okay, so thank you very much. And do we have some time for questions? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. So. Yes, please?
Yeah, I just want to mention, because when you were doing the demo and entered the address, when you sent the token to Savannah, yeah, just to mention, when you did the demo and you sent the token from your personal account to Savannah's account, and in that window, you can have the address, but you can also search by username, right? So you could also like enter just the username as Savannah, and it'll give you the options then with the identicon, and give you some trust as to which one you're going to use. It is this kind of experience, which we don't have that as well.
Cool. I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, you should. I think it works.
I'll do that in the next demo.
Another. Oh.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I would like to ask, when we finished our initial profile, how we can change if we need anything later on. I would like to ask it due to the privacy issues. How do they combine with our profile?
Mm-hmm. Right, so it's on chain, so it's public. So anything that you reveal is public. But what you can do is you can have different profiles. So you can have a more public profile that maybe you reveal more personal things that you'd like to express about your identity. But if you want more privacy, you also have the ability to use an avatar or an alias and stay anonymous. You just reveal as much or as little as you want for the purpose of that account. And then what a lot of people do is they have different accounts for different levels of privacy. But I mean, once the data's out there, it's out there. It's the same on Web 2 as it is Web 3. So yeah, you should still choose what you want, but you can always change it to remove profile pictures later. But if somebody has recorded that information, then they have it. Yeah.
Any more questions? Okay. Well.
Thank you, everybody.